Welcome to the next step in your audio evolution. And this one, I can promise you, won't break the bank. This is the Fulaim X5M wireless microphone kit. And now, before we get into the nitty-gritty side of things, I just want to state that Fulaim have sent me on this kit to have a look at, but everything in this review are that of my own opinion in this video. Now, I'm sure that in recent years you may have seen a lot of creators using these new wireless lav mics, whether that be clipped to their collars or clipped to their hats while they're out and about on the field. However, when you start going down the road of the higher range solutions such as Rode, DJI or Shure, you're met with this price point of over £200. The X5M, however, comes in at £132. But if you can grab it on sale like at the time of this video, you can get it for as cheap as £78, which for the quality is freaking insane. So what this wireless microphone kit actually comes with is two lav mics that can be hooked up to the same audio receiver. The receiver itself actually comes with three connections, one being a 3.5mm jack, a lightning connection and a USB-C connection, allowing you to use this across, say, a camera or even mobile phone. The whole thing is then nicely packaged up in a nice compact charging case that can give you up to 18 hours in total of recording. This is with 6 hours of individual charging, along with being able to recharge the kit up to 2 times extra. The microphones record at 48 kHz at 16-bit with a frequency response between 30 Hz and 20 kHz. They actually go up to a range of 200 meters, which is very handy, especially if you're recording at long distances, say if you were out in the middle of a field with a long zoom lens for your scene, for some random reason. And they actually also include up to 4 GB of onboard recording, meaning that even if you go beyond the 200 meters range, you can still record locally onto the lav mic. Another nice feature of these microphones is that it also has noise cancellation built into them. However, if you are recording in a sound controlled environment, I'd recommend not using this feature. There is also an input available on each microphone if you're wanting to use, say, much more of an indiscreet lav mic, especially on a more professional interview setting. And finally, as well as the clip on the back, the microphones in fact come with a magnet, allowing you to attach the microphone to whatever top you're wearing, which in my opinion is a little bit nicer than having it clipped up high on your collar, or if it's pinched out any of your garment and it just does not look neat at all. There are 2 light indicators on the microphones, one for indicating the power, the other indicating the 2 different functions. If you click on the set button on the side, it actually enables a solid blue light, which indicates that noise cancellation is in fact active. And if you press this button for a little bit longer, you'll then get a red flashing light, indicating that the onboard recording is also active. But if you want to do both at the same time, the light will then flash blue, indicating this. The receiver's interface is very nice and compact, and for this price point really does compete with those high-end competitors. You actually get a connection status of the strength of the signals to the microphone. If the connection is white, it means that your microphone is connected. You get a battery level indicator or 2 of each microphone, as well as the audio level of each. You can change the overall output to your recording device by clicking on the small dB button on the top left. That is then reflected on the bottom left of the screen. You can actually select up to 3 different types of audio outputs: stereo, mono, and safe audio track output. The safe audio track output is when it's recorded back in stereo with both microphones on each output. However, the right hand side is reduced by 6 decibels, meaning that the levels will be safe for editing afterwards in case you're scared about hitting the absolute maximum level. Lastly, as well as the charging kit you get in the box, you also get a USB-C to jack adapter for plugging in headphones into the receiver, a USB-C charging cable, and 2 dead cat windshields for those outdoor recordings. So what are my thoughts on the Fulaim X5M? Well, for one, I've actually been using it out and about and in the studio for a couple of months now, and I must say I am very impressed. The wireless functionality is solid and extremely handy for not having to deal with a lot of cables, especially for when using my overhead rig with the cardioid microphone and moving around the studio when the camera is a little bit further away from the microphone source. The charging case also has come in extremely handy in terms of not having to worry about charging it up every time after use or overnight. Knowing that I get up to 6 hours and then with 2 extra charges really does give me peace of mind on this thing. The noise cancellation to me does seem to work, but have a listen for yourself. Right, so this is an example of what it sounds like when it's outside. I literally live on a building site. There's a highway not too far from here. We've got the windshield on because obviously we're outdoors. This is a realistic outdoor situation, especially with the noise cancellation idea of it. So this is what it's like when it's off, and this is what it sounds like with the noise cancellation on. I literally live next to a building site right now, so this is probably the best kind of test to give for it. There's lots of reversing, there's lots of machinery, there's lots of banging going on, and as you can tell, the noise cancellation does work pretty goddamn well. Overall, there's only a couple of little issues I found. I'm going to call them little here, okay? The first being that the little adapter you use for changing the connection type for the receiver is solid when connected, but when you have to take it off each time after use to place it back in the case, I feel like I'm always going to break it. You actually have to angle it slightly before pulling it off as it clicks into place when you're putting it on. If the charging case came with the ability to keep this connected as well as charging the receiver, it would be very, very handy, especially the fact that it's actually one less step in your setup, and that's very, very handy if you're never changing this in and out each time. The next issue I found was with the inputs on the microphones. I think that Fulaim have added a low pass filter onto these by default. I think their idea is that if you're using a clip-on lav mic, you're going to have a higher bass response, so they try to tackle this before you have to do so when editing afterwards, which to me is not ideal, as then you actually have to edit equalization even more, which is not what you're wanting to do when you're trying to do that as well. And if you think I'm lying, hear it for yourself. And here we can hear how a lav mic sounds on the input of the X5M. As you can tell, it's kind of missing a bit of those bass frequencies which we have on just the general unit, which is not ideal. However, it does still work, but you're going to have to clean up a lot of this in post-edit. But apart from these two, I'm going to say smaller issues, the Fulaim X5M to me is a no-brainer for a content creator to pick up, especially for the price point and everything you get included with this. I will definitely be featuring this microphone in my setup for the foreseeable future, that's for sure, especially here in the studio. But anyways guys, that's all in this video. If you want to see another budget option for a wireless microphone setup, let me know. I do have one on the side here. But don't forget to like the video and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. But until then, I guess I'll catch you in the next one. I'll see ya.